Welcome to another episode of Pels and the Blender. It's your boy Davis coming to y'all on this Tuesday morning, man. Little episode about the Pels and how they've been doing. Been a while since I did an episode by myself. Things been kind of crazy with school, but you dig? We gonna come this Tuesday. I'm sorry, after the Pels get another home win against Dallas. And kind of just want to talk a little bit about the track that they've been on. So I have been critical of the things that I wanted to see from this particular team on the second half of the season. How would they look? They're finally fully healthy or majority healthy if you consider like the games that DeJounte has kind of been in and out, which is completely understandable, coming back from the Achilles injury and stuff like that. And DeJounte's progressively played better as he's played more, got his feet under him and stuff like that. But even still, you are coming off the Achilles injury. So like any games that he takes a break in the games that he does play, he plays incredibly hard on both sides of the ball. So shout out to him for his return. So like I'm not really like criticizing like when he misses games or anything like that. Like I think they're handling the DeJounte situation extremely well. Um, you know what that makes me think I wasn't even really gonna talk about this, but I think it like in the grand scheme of things, they've been handling pretty much teams like players injuries pretty well overall this season. That might be something to kind of look um at the end of the season when you think about it, because Zion went out a little early in the season and a lot of people thought it was going to be, oh, here we go again with one of the, these extended absences and stuff. And in the grand scheme of things, it's been one of the healthiest seasons, most games played you've seen from them in a long time. So like, does that mean that the medical staff is fixed? Not sure, but like, Ease has been in and out. Like, and again, injuries happen during the season, but like for the most part, they've done a pretty good job keeping their players on the court for the most part throughout the season. Herb had a stretch, but again, he was coming off injury. Trey had some stuff, but again, he was coming off injury. Zion's been pretty good throughout the season. DeJounte, since he's been back, looked pretty good. So it looks like they're getting as from like, and again, I wasn't gonna talk about this, but like as I'm thinking about DeJounte and how he's looked, it looks like they're doing a pretty good job like managing the injuries and stuff throughout the season when you think about it, and getting guys back on the court and having them available and being able to play. So that's probably something to look at down the line. So shout out to the Pelicans for that perspective. But my main point in like wanting to do this episode, because the title of the episode is Are the Pels Trustworthy? And again, the season was over kind of early. You know what I mean? They had some bad stretches. Obviously, they started the season off terrible, and it was just kind of hard to kind of dig out of that hole. And then the team had some injuries and players weren't available, and then you're trying to figure out the system and stuff like that. But as of late, it seems like everybody's healthy. They're kind of figuring it out and doing relatively well with how they've been playing. So much so to where you kind of have to, not have to, but as Joe Dumars had come out before and said these players are like core players or quote unquote untouchable players. You see how DeJounte's look coming back, but you also knew that new whoa, what's good, Mike? Appreciate you for tapping it in. I would say we can't trust the team against good teams. Then and that's kind of where this next stretch comes in, that like how they gonna look against this particular stretch coming up with the teams that they've had, because that's why I've been very critical of this team. Right now, I think you could say even as they've made strides and gotten better, right? They've absolutely played better, and getting healthy coincides with playing better. Um like having a consistent voice. I do think part of like, while I don't think Borrego has just been amazing, you know what I mean? I just think having a different voice from Willie, right? I just think they were just overly tired of that. So I do think that portion of it just makes a difference in itself. Like sometimes you see that when interims take over for coaches who've been around for a long time. And again, Borrego has been here as well. So it's not like a complete random voice for them. So as far as like the coaching thing, I'm still undecided for sure. I'm not undecided. As of right now, I would say no, he hasn't done enough to get this job. But there's a lot of different elements that's gonna go into whether he should have it or not moving forward. But this particular stretch right here is kind of gonna be really the determining factor to me. I thought, like, how do you look against good teams or like at least above, not even good, above average to better teams? Whoa, what's good, Liam? What's good, bro? Appreciate y'all. Like, how do you look against good to above average teams? So like I had been critical because every time you played a quality team, even when you were starting to get on your roll, you saw they had the two losses to LA after you was beating up on Utah and all of that. Like Milwaukee, not even really good. You lost to them by a lot. You lost to Miami by a lot. So it's just kind of like, kind of where does this team fall? If you could beat the piss out of bad teams, do it really matter? You had a close loss against Phoenix, but I felt like while that game came down to it at the end, the game felt like it wasn't really close because Phoenix kind of controlled it throughout most of the game. But you had a chance to win. When they got to Toronto, to me, the Toronto win, I personally don't count close losses as victories. It depends on how it looks. And that's exactly what we about to go to. So like for me, the season started, not season started, but like the string against good teams. I thought the Toronto win was a really good win because of like the style Toronto plays. Typically they're a rougher defensive team or a tough defensive team at least. And those types of teams kind of give us trouble. You had Brandon Ingram coming back. So like regardless of if the Rockets were, I'm sorry, not the Rockets, if the Raptors were great or not, like sometimes there's a like statement games, and BI coming back was a big deal to me. And you gotta beat the piss out that team. Like, so that's still one of those games where like I don't give a fuck if the Raptors were playing well or not. Like the Raptors absolutely wanted to win that game in your building for BI on the day he came back, and they handled business. So to me, that was a real quality win, like a real quality win. So I was happy with that win. I count that win as like, whoa, what's good, bro? We still scary. Listen, I don't we gonna see over the next couple games, the next like 8 games we're about to see. So I consider that as a quality win the Raptors win. So I'm like, all right, good. Like you took care of business. You kept BI in check. You know what I mean? Whoa, what's good, Jaden? Appreciate all y'all, man, for tapping in, man. Hit that like button as y'all come in. So that was a good win. Then you go on the road to Houston, right? You go on the road to Houston, and it's up and down throughout the game, which is fine because technically Houston is supposed to be a better team than you. I don't give a fuck that Sengun wasn't playing. Like, that don't really matter to me. Houston is supposed to be one of the better teams in the league and stuff like that. So going on the road in Houston, you battle in that game, and realistically, you supposed to win that game. If they call a foul on Amin Thompson and DeJounte Murray shoots free throws. Now, we don't know if he makes the free throws or not, but they intentionally fouling you up in that game. I'm going to assume he makes these free throws, and anything can happen, but that's supposed to be a win. Shout out to you for that one, Liam. Like, that's supposed to be a contender in the West. And you beat them the first time, not the first time, but you beat them here. When I did the season breakdown, I didn't think we would get any win. How we looked last year against Houston, I didn't think we get any wins against Houston. If you got the first win, you beat them. You in the second half of that game, you did really well. That's when Herb caused all the turnovers. And to be honest, kind of put the book out on what you need to do to Kevin Durant. That was one of the first games where you saw them doubling KD at the top, causing them to turn it over, and you saw them like being hurt by not having a point guard. But DeJounte played really well in that game. If they call a foul, you probably make free throws and win. If you call a 5-second call, you probably get the ball back, make more get opportunity for free throws and win. So it's kind of like I can't say, I'm not really holding that loss against them. Like that felt like robbery to me. And if that's the case, to me, that's 2 quality wins in a row against, the Toronto win was a big win, and I'm considering that Houston win damn near win. So if that's the case, you're looking at it and it's like, okay, the momentum that they're building, because a lot of people talk about the learn and the win and all of that. And yeah, to a degree, I get that too. But like, I want to see them play better against good teams and like figure out how like beating good teams. Like the win against the Rockets would have said a lot, because what would that have been? 2-2 against the Rockets in the season or something like that. So if you pull 2 wins against the Rockets, like the Rockets are lucky. Like, you damn near almost knocked the Rockets in playing position. I think if they would have lost that game, they would have been like 6 or something like that in the season that day. And then you saw they go and get smacked by the Lakers and stuff like that. So I think you could have won that game, or should have won that game. So I'm gonna give you. Normally, I don't do the credit for close losses, but that one felt different. Like, I'm not giving you credit for Phoenix, because Phoenix outplayed you throughout most of the game, and I felt like Phoenix was better. You know what I mean? We just had a late push, and you kind of got back into that game. The Rockets game, completely different. Like, I think you absolutely had moments where you looked like you deserved to compete, and they had moments where you were probably the better team that particular night. So shout out to them for that. So like, continually to play better against good teams, that's what I want to see from the team. And then you got Dallas, which is a team that's like struggling on the backside of the season. They ain't, not that they're not really trying to win and stuff like that, but you did what you supposed to do against Dallas. You was at home. DeJounte, you should be able to sit DeJounte in games like that, and you beat the fuck out the people. You know what I mean? You beat them by 20 at home. Shout out to, Rod Walk and everybody. You done won 4 games in a row at home. So a couple of the things that you have to do to be considered a good team moving forward, you got to win games you're supposed to win, which they are doing that, right? There's a couple things you got to do. You got to win games you're supposed to win. So beat the bad teams, the Utah teams, the Maverick teams, the Sacramento teams. So check. You do that. You get a lot of wins during the season for doing that. Then you got to win your home games, right? As they've been healthy, they've been doing a better job of protecting home. So like, that's another way you become a quality team. Beat teams you're supposed to, win games at home. So they've been doing that lately. You got the homestand coming up now against the Clippers, which you haven't beat this season, but historically we played well against the Clippers. So you got the 2 games at home, the back-to-back at home with the Clippers. Can you win one, if not both of those, right? If you can win both of those at home and kind of get yourself going, get into some rhythm, and then, put yourself on a little winning streak, and then you got Cleveland. If you could go 2 out of 3 or get all 3 of those, I think that'll go a long way for me in saying, hey, the team is actually turning it around, because I don't necessarily consider wins against tanking teams like a big, like a big measuring stick of like, if you're actually improving and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it could look good and stuff like that, but like, beating the Wizards honestly just don't mean too much to me right now. Like beating Utah don't really do too much personally. That's just my opinion. I understand what the stats say and all of that, but anytime you play good teams, how do you look against a good team? So the win against Toronto matters, right? I consider you damn near should have beat Houston. That matters, right? On the road in Houston, that means something. How do you look in these next 2 games, especially the 3? Like you said, shout out to them. They done what 5 in a row at home? Is it 4 in a row, 5 in a row at home? Okay, you have to continue to build on that. You got like, because these games matter. It's not like you not trying to win, right? You're trying to win every game that you can, whether you playing spoiler to somebody, you damn near you still trying to work your way up the standards to a degree. And that's not to say I don't think the play-in is a thing. So like, I know they said people say you don't want to see us in the play-in, and I guess it depends on who, like who you would play in the play-in, probably, because the play-in teams aren't really good teams either. So you might have a chance in the play-in depending on who you matched up with. But as of right now, they just need to do a good job of looking like, let's see who you'd have to play in. If you had to play Phoenix, no. The Clippers, maybe. Golden State, you should beat them. Portland, you should beat them. But you're not. I don't think they're gonna do enough to be able to get into the play-in. You're still 10 games back. I don't think they're gonna be able to make up that ground. So like, that's just kind of where I'm at with that. But the stretch that you have coming up right now is very critical to what this team could look like next season, depending on what it is they decide to do. And I don't want to get into the fact where they look okay, where you decide to damn near run it back, because you still need to make like adjustments to the roster. And I keep saying that, but is this something that is sustainable? Have they found like a style of play in these next 8 games are gonna let you know a lot. So like, again, you got the Clippers coming in. When is that game? Is that game tonight or is it tomorrow? I think it's tomorrow. I think they played a back-to-back on the 18th, 19th. Yeah. So that game is tomorrow and Thursday on a back-to-back against the Clippers. Like, get both of those, and then we could start talking about, okay, this is something sustainable, because Kawhi been on the heater, and even though the Clippers have looked okay, they still roughly an average team. They've been amazing because Kawhi has been amazing, right? But you saw them just lose to the Spurs the other night. Like, that team is still beatable. You just have to do what you're supposed to win again. Doing like, these are the signs of a good team: being able to protect home court, and then protecting home court against a team that's probably more so on your level. You know what I mean? Like, go beat that team and beat them twice. You know what I mean? That would go. If Kawhi out, then if Kawhi out, you definitely supposed to win. But if Kawhi don't play, I probably put a little asterisk on it. You know what I mean? Like you got to win the games you're supposed to win, but I wouldn't put as much credibility on the dub if Kawhi don't play in either one of these games, even though the Clippers still, and then the Clippers need those wins. So it's not like they're going to come out there and just lay down, right? So you still got to go out there and do what you're supposed to do. So if you are the team that you're trying to be, all they keep talking about is we trying to build habits towards next year, and we're trying to become a better team for next year. And like, they're focusing on doing things now to lead in the next year. And that's all true. You want to like develop chemistry, develop kind of like develop your roles. They still developing their games and stuff like that. You want to build all of that going into next season, depending on who's gonna still be here and whatnot, and kind of put yourselves in a position to be a team to look out for. But at the same time, if every time we play a good team or whatever, like, you're not getting the dub, even if it depends, because like, again, against Phoenix, I thought they just outplayed you most of the game. You might have made it close and like made it close late and had opportunity, but Phoenix still looked like the better team. And I don't consider that like a quality close loss or whatever. The Rockets is a different situation. You should have won that. Trying to teach out with Willie and Still, probably so. And it'll take a season to do that. So like, we'll see moving in. So another thing with teaching, like out with Willie and Still, Draymond Green early in the season when the Pelicans was doing a lot of losing, came out and was like, the reason they losing isn't because Zion is the lead. He's like, they losing because DeJounte is not there and DeJounte is the leader of that team. So with that being like with Draymond putting that out there, and then how they've looked since DeJounte's been back, like I can't say that he's necessarily wrong. Like I didn't think that, not that I didn't think that DeJounte mattered and stuff as much, because at the end of the day, the play has to match the energy and stuff like that. Like personally, like they talk about the value of Herb Jones on the team, and like again, if Herb defensively has value, but if you're not playing great, then I don't give a fuck what your leadership and stuff is. Like you still have to play well for all of that stuff to matter. And DeJounte started playing well on top of that. And I think you starting to see, okay, like the energy, him getting on people, being around the team. I think that stuff does matter. So like it kind of begs the question, like, what do you do with DeJounte moving forward? Like, is this the point guard that you want to continue to move forward with over the next season or two as fear still develops? Like it seems like they have a system in place, and that's exactly, I saw both being clutch clients, so that's what I thought. And it seemed like he was being honest in that situation, because I'm like, bro, how you gonna say DeJounte was the guy? He barely played the season before. Like he played game one, he looked a certain way, they broke their hand, he broke his hand, was out, came back, they struggled, and then he went out with the Achilles. But right now it's absolutely looking like DeJounte is the leader of this team. And while I think a lot of this is to build some of his trade value, shit, it seemed like most of this is not going to be a thing. Like if they are starting to build chemistry and stuff like that, then do you break, let's say they end the season strong, do you still break that up to go acquire a potentially better player that might not necessarily fit? Because I'm still of the mindset that like if Ja available, I'd move DeJounte for Ja today. But does fit matter? Does talent, like how much does DeJounte's leadership and all of like the defensive edge and all of that stuff, how much does that matter on this particular team? I guess that's a question that we'll see, moving forward. What if the NBA about to add more teams, about the 30, 32 teams? How do you think it'll affect the Pelicans in the future? I don't know, bro, to be honest, because it seemed like the moving to the East isn't like if they move, for example, like a lot of people saying that they're going to move Minnesota to the East, right? Or Minnesota or Memphis. Well, if they move either one of those teams to the East and keep us in the West, honestly, I think it does us a solid, because I can't see us not being better than an expansion team, regardless of what expansion team they do. If you move Minnesota, who's been a team that you project in the future to be, as a team you project in the future to be like a contender as long as Ann is there, right? If you take them out, okay, that helps you. Memphis is going through a rebuild, but at the same time, it's kind of like, well, Memphis has historically been better than you. So if you move both of those teams out, honestly, I think it works in your favor, because that's two teams you don't have to worry about. And then the two teams that they put in the conference will be, or one team or whatever, will be an expansion team. So it's kind of like you should be better than that team. Then Golden State's getting old. Like you got other teams that's getting older. So like realistically, if they don't move you and keep you in the West, you've been competing with the West all these times anyway. I think you play well against the Spurs. I think you play well against a lot of the West. Like what are the Clippers going to do in the future? Like, right? So honestly, if you stay in the West, I think it's fine. Like I still don't think the West is that strong moving forward. I think up top you got some really good teams that's going to be around, but that still puts you 5, 6, 7 if you do what you supposed to do. So like the expansion stuff don't really make me that nervous. Moving to the East, honestly, if we move to the East, I think we'd be a little more disappointed than people think, because if you move to the East, I can't say you're going to be better than Detroit. I can't say you're going to be better than Boston right away. So Detroit, Boston, Charlotte's up and coming. The Magic you struggle with. New York we struggle with. Like a lot of the teams, the Hawks beat us a couple times and they look like they're getting better. So like I think the Wizards are gonna be significantly better next year with Trey and AD. So it's kind of like, nah, don't be so quick to want to jump into the East, because ain't nothing worse than jumping over to the East and you still don't have your shit together. So as far as the expansion stuff, I do think if they get that big boost of money that they're supposed to get from the expansion team, somebody was talking about like maybe over 300 million or something like that, you maybe can see a lot of like infrastructure stuff done to the team, which honestly I think will go a long way in making like the experience and whatnot better, which I think could make a difference for the team and like from that perspective. But as far as like the actual movement and stuff like that, I'm not really tripping off moving to the East or staying in the West. I think honestly, if you stay in the West, I think long term you'll have a better opportunity. But that's just me. Players see more than we do, even from the reporters, absolutely, and players trust each other. So like, I'm sure DeJounte and Draymond probably have had conversations and stuff like that about what it's like being down there. What is, you know what I mean? Like talking about, asking about players and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure they have more of open communication about what it is that's going on, as opposed to even what it is that we see of people that might follow a team or something like that. Believe in fit over talent, unless the talent is leaps and bounds of worlds better. So again, that would depend on the situation. So like I'm interested to see what decisions they decide to do moving forward. If DeJounte continues on this this track that he's playing on right now, DeJounte started the season off, coming back from the Achilles and finding his footing and stuff like that. But shit, lately DeJounte been like your second and third best player. You know what I mean? And with that being the case, it's sliding people into said roles, right? And if that's the case, then maybe that's a situation that like who would be, I guess, leaps and bounds better. Like I personally, I think Ja is leaps and bounds better, but Ja with the availability still, like you don't know about Ja and possibly with the shooting and stuff like that, and then you haven't, like I still make the move for Ja, but then you got the salary aspect of it. Can you continue to build out your team? There's a bunch of stuff that kind of goes into that, and like how they're meshing, if he is the leader of your team, and how that looks, which it appears to be true. So moving forward, it's kind of like I don't know if you necessarily move DeJounte, but again, it depends on how you look in this stretch, and if what you're seeing now is believable and you think it's something that's sustainable, that you can grow on, that you can build on, right? Like if they come out and over these next 8 games against good teams, again, aside from just what the record looks like, but again, you got LA twice, Cleveland, New York, Detroit, Toronto again in Toronto, Houston again, Portland, right? Them next 2, 4, 6, 8 games. The next 8 games, like what does the record look like over the next 8 games? And again, like if Kawhi not playing, you still got to go handle business in those games. If Kawhi don't play, I honestly believe, especially at home, you need to win both. Extend that home record. Okay, then you got Cleveland. Like, how do you look against Cleveland? Cleveland, the last like 2 seasons we play them, been beating the brakes off you. Like, is that a competitive game? Can you win that game? What does it look like in that particular game if everybody's healthy? So like, if they against these good teams moving forward, right, can look competent, the things they're talking, and people talking about the finding ways to win, and I understand the finding ways to win, but you still got to look a certain type of way throughout these games. You can't get the fuck beat out you all game and then be like, oh man, yeah, we look, against good teams that's actually trying to compete, and then say, okay, we look like we're building, like, you know what I mean? Like we on the right track. It's like, no, you still might need to make more adjustments to the roster and stuff like that than you might have thought. Like, yeah, you could be on the right track, but that don't mean you may not need to bring in you might need to bring in a different voice. You might need to, you know what I mean, move a key player or something like that. So let's just see moving forward. Let's see. Minnesota and Memphis will get moved before us. We got into a division with Dallas, San Antonio, Houston. Yeah, they'll move. It's whatever. I ain't over the word. They got losing records against both the problem ain't the opponents as us. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to take care of yourself, right? And they have to answer their own questions, right? Like you have to solve the internal stuff before you worry about what you got going forward. How much better is Jeremiah Fizz since DeJounte's return? My opinion is much better. So my thing about about Fizz, yes, he's better since DeJounte got here, but I said all season I think he needed to spend time on the bench. Like the responsibility was like just when you're trying to play winning basketball as a, you know what I mean, bro, the dude really young trying to figure it out. He's been significantly better, and I think it's the move to the bench to slow the game down. And he had moved to the bench before DeJounte came back. It's pretty much once Herb got back. When Herb got back, he went to the bench, and you saw Fears start to, you know, his pacing look better, understanding the game look better, like a lot look better. And then he's taken another step since DeJounte got back. So I've been saying this too. I think year 2 Fears, if he's healthy, is going to be really, 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 really good for the team, to where it'll make your bench unit look significantly different, because I think he's going to be a difference maker on the court, right? And you've seen he's been shooting the ball well. His passing has been good. He's understanding, like when he got it on a break, his pick and roll game has been a lot better. He's improving a lot, and I have no doubt in my mind that like he's gonna be in the lab all summer and come back and just, if he can get stronger, which I think that's something that he's going to emphasize working on, and he's been finishing better at the rim too. That was one of the big things he needed to work on. He's been finishing better with the left hand. He's been finishing. He's not been putting himself. He's not been like over driving as well, like over penetrating, getting caught in like some bad situations. You could tell he's just getting a better feel for the NBA game, the size, the speed, like the size of the players himself, the speed and stuff like that. He's just getting better with his decision making, and I think that's going to continue to grow. I think he's just going to continue to get better and better. I really like the Jeremiah Fizz pick. Like, I don't know if by year, I don't think he starts, obviously, if you keep DeJounte year 2, but I don't know if he starts over DeJounte or something like that. But by year 3, bro, I think we're gonna see something pretty special from Jeremiah Fizz. I like the player a lot. Y'all think Joe will give Zion a contract extension in the summer? No, no, not this summer. I don't think anybody's done enough over this summer to deserve a contract extension. But it's possible, because I think in the year 2 window is where you kind of decide that when a player has 2 years left on the deal. And all of this goes into like the element of, is this team trustworthy moving forward? So like what I think is probably next summer, so Joe can see if his health isn't a fluke. I don't think they do it with 1 year left on the deal. So like what I think they do is, I think they run this back till I think they run it back and they try to make some adjustments over the summer. So, for example, how I could project it to a degree. If, let's say, against this stretch and let's say they finish the season fine, right? I don't think they're getting into the play-in again. They're trying to build habits and stuff like that. You just trying to finish the season, with a good record. If they got 15 games left, you trying to finish the season better than like 10-5, right? Something like that. You want to finish the season, be like, oh, over the last however many games, we were 12-4 type something like they want to finish the season looking like that going into next season, right? if that's the case, I don't think anybody gets an extension. I think they try to determine, okay, if DeJounte looks well, unless we could get like a star for DeJounte, I think they go out and try and get the center. I think they try and find the center to come in, solidify the starting lineup, right? If they can't get a center and like let's say a job be available, I wouldn't be surprised if they were aggressive and tried to make. I think they will be aggressive in acquiring talent in the offseason because the roster still has to get better. Like at best, you still gonna be what 30 wins, something like that. That's not enough. That's not good enough. Whoa, what's up? What's good, Kurt? That's like 30 wins is still not enough. 40 wins isn't enough. Like, bro, you damn near need 45 to you need damn near 45 wins to be like a playing team at best. So like that's just not enough. So you know for sure out the gate you gotta do something. So if they finish this season solid, then like next year or like let's say next summer, I think they just gonna make like roster improvements next summer. And then depending on how the season starts, if they start off looking good, then that off season you might see like if they let's say they make the playoffs next year, not the play-in or nothing like that. Let's say they make the playoffs, right? Then you might see a Zion extension in that summer or something like that. But I don't think you do it this summer because if you run it back and they don't look good, you don't want to be stuck. I think the first half of next season is the last iteration of this team if they don't look good. Because then at that point, I think you blow it up. You'll have 2 years left on Z deal. Herb extension to get ready to really kick in. DeJounte, I think I have 2 years or 1 year left or something like that. Poole will be, I don't know what, I can't imagine Poole being on this team next season anyway. But even if he is, he'll be, expiring that you can move for a player picks or whatever it is they decide to do. But I don't think Z getting no extension this summer at all. So like that's kind of how I see it playing out. Missy minutes proved pivotal last night. Z was efficient. Pelicans big Carlo helped the late push. Yeah, man, they did what they were supposed to do against this particular team. Like you played Dallas, and like realistically, you shouldn't have lost no game to Dallas this season, in my opinion. You've had it every time you played Dallas. You've had enough players on the court, even when Willie was available to where you shouldn't have lost no games to Dallas, man. Like every time you played Dallas, it should have been a dub. So they did what they were supposed to. So shout out to them. Shout out to them for doing that. Again, as far as like, are they trustworthy? We'll see with the next couple of games. But another thought that I had, man, that I kind of wanted to throw out there is what I think would kind of help solidify the are they trustworthy next season is I think they need another player that they acquire next year to be like Sadiq Bey this year, right? So what I mean is, and it don't have to necessarily be like a cheap player or nothing like that, but like that player that you acquired that nobody thought, like you might have thought they were gonna help you out, but like all of the players that's contributing right now for the team are players you absolutely, other than Sadiq Bey, are the players that you thought would be contributing on the team, right? So I think next year going into the offseason, I would be interested to find out or to see if they can acquire a player. Bryce is somebody who contributed this year that we didn't expect contributing, and you'll have Bryce next year. So and Bryce's impact is solid, but like, you know what I mean? It's not to the level of Sadiq Bey or whatever. So like next year, let me go through these real quick. Or Kawhi in the blender for the back-to-back. I don't know. We're going to see. Apparently, Kawhi might have a little injury, so I don't know. We're going to see. If Kawhi not there, if Kawhi not there, you got to win. The prediction for the last homestand or this particular homestand, again, man, like I just don't. I predict they probably go 1-2. to be honest. I'd be surprised if they beat Cleveland. I'd be pleasantly surprised if they won these games, obviously. But I just still can't trust them to win games against good teams. So like if Kawhi plays, I'm like maybe you split against the Clippers because again historically Z plays the Clippers really well. Like they don't have no answers for Z, and typically they do okay against the Clippers. Even when Kawhi has been there. So like I can see you splitting against the Clippers, and then Cleveland, you hadn't played well at all. So I just can't pick you to beat Cleveland, especially when Cleveland, with James has kind of been on a roll and stuff like that. So it's just kind of like, maybe you finish 1-2. But if you go 2-3 in this stretch, like I'll be happy with that. Let's say you split with the Clippers, and then like I look at it this way. If Kawhi doesn't play both games, let's say Kawhi plays one of the two. Whichever game Kawhi don't play, you got to win. If Kawhi does play and you still have all your horses, because I don't know if DeJounte is playing back-to-backs or not, like you kind of got to see how it shakes out. But if Kawhi plays, but you got your whole team and you win that game, it's like, all right, I'll give you some kudos for that. And then we'll see how you look against Cleveland, because I want them to look like a team, like the team that people are talking about them looking. It's like, oh, well, they've been, top in offense and like this in defense and all of that since this date. And it's like, all right, look like that against this particular team coming up, right? You got Cleveland coming up. Look like the team with all of those numbers against that particular team, and then we can put some more creed and some more credibility to what the numbers are saying. That's just my opinion on like the homestand moving forward. But I was talking about like the players that like what's a player going, like not a player, but like the type of move they could make that I think would help solidify them next season, because I don't think the roster as is good enough to be much better than where they were, like where they are now. And even if you are significantly better, right? Even if you significantly better, that only makes like 40 wins would be significantly better, and 40 wins isn't enough to be good. You get what I'm saying? Like significantly better can still be not good. So like what type of moves or what type of players, right, can like make a difference? And these are the kinds of moves that I'm talking about. Like the Saddiq Bey move for us was a move that, while you thought Saddiq Bey would be able to contribute, Saddiq Bey has been a starting level player for you. Like that's significant. If you took that player and like put him on the bench, but him still being able to contribute like that, that makes a difference to your winning and stuff. So like in this offseason, can they get a player that's been like what Naw has been to Atlanta, right? Like Naw got to Atlanta, and you see the impact that he's had since getting there. You know what I mean? Like Naw might be in the running for like most improved or something like that. Like, okay, shout out to him. How Jared McCain, like the impact that Jared McCain has had since he's got to OKC, and OKC was already good, right? Can you do something like that? Like what Peyton Watson looked like for Denver, right? You see Watson for Denver looking like an impact player, having 30-point games. Like he looks like a solid. So can you bring in a player like that for you? With Dylan Brooks looked like in Phoenix. If people remember, like Phoenix last season, and I know Dylan hadn't been there because he hurt the hand and everything, but Phoenix last season, even with KD, was nowhere near. They were a bad team last year. And like shout out to Jalen Green, who's kind of been, finding his foot lately. But Dylan Brooks throughout a lot of that season, it was him and Booker who were the difference in what they had the new coach. They got a new coach. And Dylan Brooks was one of the key things in helping Devin Booker keep that, like have that team progress to the point where they a play-in playoff team. That team was terrible last season. Bobby Portis, what Bobby Portis looks like for Milwaukee. Like maybe not this year necessarily, but like Bobby Portis is one of the top 3-point shooters in the league or something like that. Can you get a player like that like might help you out and stuff? So my thing is, can this team find a player like that next season, aside from who it is most likely you bring back, right? Because most likely you're gonna bring back Trey Herb, obviously Murray, Sadiq, and like Fears and Queen will be here, right? Other than that, I don't know. Can you add another somebody or another two somebodies who are gonna come in and like really be impactful for you in the way to where you're just kind of like, all right, we got a solid 8-man rotation that we could roll out every night, and then it makes a difference for you moving forward. I think that's the move that will help me determine what they look like next year. So as of right now, I can't say that I trust what they're building right now moving forward, because I honestly just haven't seen enough while they have progressed and looked better. I haven't seen enough against good teams to say, okay, I'm running this shit back moving forward personally. And like the next 8 games is going to tell you a lot. And then we'll reassess after the 8 games, and depending on how they look in those games, if it's enough moving forward. And I think James, to the point of here, want 30 wins for this season. Hope you have a 10-game winning streak next season. Can Borrego make that happen? As of right now, no. Like, I can't. Can he finish with 30 wins? Possibly. Like, you have. Let me see. The rest of the way is, how many wins do they have right now? 23. To get to 30, you need 7 more wins. I don't know if they get to 30, though. I ain't gonna lie. 1, 2, 3. I could count 3 for sure more wins. I think you beat Sacramento. I think you beat Utah, and I think you beat Portland. So that's 3, put you at 26. But like, where your 4 other wins come from? Maybe you could get 1 or 2 against LA. Again, right now, I can't say you beat Cleveland. I don't think you beat New York. I don't think you beat Detroit. Orlando, you struggle against Boston, Minnesota. Like, if you could get the 30 wins, you need 7 wins to get the 30 wins. How many games you got left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. If you can go 7-6 the rest of the way and get to 30 wins, I think that'll be impressive. How do I think JB has the team playing right now? Do you think it will be back next season? Even with the way they're playing right now, again, it's hard to judge. I need to see it. Like, I thought they should have won against the Rockets. I don't think they beat, like, that win would have. I don't think he's done enough. I personally think he's done enough. Now, again, it depends on what the plan is moving forward, right? And who's available for who's available, like, that may want to take on this job moving forward. Like, if I'm about to rebuild, right? If I'm about to rebuild, then I may consider keeping Borrego. Unless, no, because even then, if I'm a rebuild, I want somebody that's gonna come in and be able to instill their own. Because if you rebuild, then that means you blowing it up anyway. And then you want somebody to come in and instill their own culture, their own plan. They like you kind of want them to establish their own stuff. If you're making all-in moves, like if they made, I don't know, like, what would be considered a win now move? I don't think it's capable to do. But hypothetically, an all-in move would be like, trading picks for like a Kawhi or some shit like that, or like you going all like we trying to go win. If you made an all-in move, I don't think you can keep Borrego if you made an all-in move. Because I don't think an all-in, I don't know if he's good enough with an all-in move to Ja's an all-in move. I guess it depends on what you're giving up. So yeah, Ja kind of is Ja all-in move? That's a good question. That's a good question. Is Ja all-in move? Because Ja got a lot going on right now. And I guess it depends on what you giving up for Ja. If you make an all-in move, I don't know if you could keep Borrego and make like one of those kinds of moves. But let's say they look solid to end the season, and then they make another like we're just trying to get better kind of moves. I think you could keep Borrego under those circumstances. But this the thing. In order to keep Borrego, you gotta like, it's not like you could sign him to a 1 year. You're not gonna sign him to a 1 year deal. So like you kind of have to determine like what your future is going to be sooner than later regarding like the coach, because you can't do like another try and see year with Borrego. You kind of have to decide. So like I don't think they're gonna do an all-in move. I don't think they're gonna fire, like they're not gonna sign him to something and then fire him. So it's either they're gonna kind of decide this offseason whether to let him go or whether he gonna get like a 4-year deal. And if he get a 4-year deal, then it's kind of like, what is the move? Like, what is the move? So I don't know. Right now, he's at the point depending on what Memphis wants, but the contract is a big hit to the books. What Ja make? 40-something mil, 40 mil. I guess again, it depends on who you giving up. Because if they just trying to get off him, and you only got to give up, say, Poole, and it don't make sense to bring in Ja when you keeping DeJounte and shit like that. But if you was only able to, if you only had to give up like Poole and I don't know, 8 more million, like Poole and Looney, hypothetically for Ja, then like that's not really all in move. That's just more like a improvement. Then you could go figure something else out. Like if I got Ja for something like that, shit, DeJounte might be traded for a center or something like that. So who knows? But I think it matters. You know what I mean? I think it matters. We're only 2 wins better than last year. If he gets 31, I'll keep him under 30. New coach, bro. This is actually a really good point, Kurt. This is actually a really good point. While they've looked significantly better, right? A lot of people saying they look significantly better. Again, you only got 2 more wins than last year, which was one of the worst seasons in the history of the team, and people been healthy majority of the season. So like if you finish under 30, and I'm looking at the schedule the rest of the way, and again, bro, if all the teams you play trying to win because you got playoff teams, I only really could see at most like maybe 5 more wins, unless you look significantly better than we think you're gonna look, right? Because if you just lay it out right now, like, though, they gonna beat the Clippers twice? You can't bet on that, especially if Kawhi. Now, if Kawhi don't play, then who knows? Like if injuries matter the rest of the way. But like on the road at New York, no. On the road at Detroit, no. On the road at Toronto, maybe. But I know Toronto gonna want they get back for BI. You got Houston again at home. We'll see. Like, what if Sengun back? At Portland should be a win, but you never know. At Sacramento, that's a win. Orlando at home, you know what Orlando do to you. You got Utah again, should be a win, and then you finish on the road at Boston and at Minnesota, who gonna be playing for playoff position. No, So if they finish the season with like, they got 23 wins right now. If they finish the season with like 27 wins, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't know. So again, this stretch right now, if they do some shit over these next what, 8 games and go like 6-2, you go 6-2 over these next 8, you win 2 of those 3 on the road trip or something like that. You beat Houston that next time around, something like you do something like that, then it's like, all right, we'll start giving you some consideration. But nah, man. As of right now, I can't sign on for James being the guy. Like, it's just not. Even with the improvement, it's just not enough. And like the who's out there portion of it, I don't know, or who might not be out there. I don't know if that's a good enough reason to not like go get another coach. That's just my opinion. So the I don't know, man. We'll see whose names come up. Like, it depends. Like what names come into the hat for potential opportunities moving forward, because a lot of the coaching, you know what I mean, they might end up finding somebody or considering somebody you don't even know. Now, what we do want, you want them to have like a real process, right? Like, you want them to have like a true interviewing process and not just bringing a guy. But if that's the case, then like I'm open to like I obviously open to moving on from Borrego, bro. Because in 70 games, like, even though they've looked better, I still need to see what they look like against good teams. What they look like against good teams, and I just can't say that like next year moving forward. Like, obviously, you need to make some roster. You need to make some roster moves. Absolutely, absolutely, that is a thing. That is absolutely a thing, and I can't hold that completely against Borrego. The roster has to improve, but at the same time, like, I personally just haven't seen enough to say that I don't think another good or competent coach would be able to do something similar if the team was healthy. And that's kind of where I'm at. So we'll see. They got the back-to-back starting tomorrow against the Clippers. We'll see how they look in those, if Kawhi plays or not. And that's pretty much gonna do it, man. So I'm not gonna hold y'all too much more this morning, man. Appreciate y'all for tapping into the show. Hit the like button, share the stream. And then we'll kind of keep an eye on this thing moving forward, and then kind of go from there. Also, man, if anybody know somebody who might have the extra Pels chain, I wasn't able to get one at the game the other night. But if anybody knows somebody who have the Pels chain, man, I'm trying to get one of those, man. Reach out, let me know. You hear me? I'm trying to get that. So with that being the case, man, half of 70 games is 35. We're not even close. We're not even 500 with interim coach. Interims don't even really get to 500. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying James ain't have a tough go, but he been around long enough, bro. I think I expected a little bit better. I'm gonna just say that. I expected a little bit better. I think the losing streak's been too long, and we'll see moving forward. But again, they have an opportunity over these next 8 games to do something, and we'll kind of see from there. But man, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all morning, man. Stay safe, absolutely. Peace and blessings to everybody, like my dog Kurt say. And that's gonna do it for me, man. A Davis, Pals in the Blender. I'll catch y'all later on. Y'all be safe. I'm out. Peace.